Corey from the tech team here again. We're going to talk about another problem we see a lot is the side seals and how to deal with those on the Fusion gun and the wear items that you need to look for. First thing we want to look at is the ring itself, the retaining ring. A lot of times we see this ring has a lot of damage to it. We see a lot of tool marks on it, that something used a pair of vice grips or channel locks or a pipe wrench or something to try to get this on and off. You can chew this up. Once you've damaged that anodizing, that piece is not really in good shape. Another famous one I've seen is people polishing them or buffing them up to clean them up. Again, you've taken all of that anodizing off of that and got down to a bare aluminum part. That part's going to be really soft and really easy to damage. Another one I see is something like this, where they have boiled this part in antifreeze or something like that in some sort of cooker or warmer and let it sit for a long period of time. That will eat the anodizing off and again damage the aluminum. These are bad parts. But the biggest thing I want to look at and check are the threads that are inside of this. These threads are what holds this side seal in position. That is under a spring tension. So the farther these come out, the more issues you may have. So periodically you need to check how much wear is on these rings. You can see, as on this one, how those threads get really flattened out. That's going to allow this side seal to float out farther. And when they float out farther, that O-ring is not setting in the position it needs to set in. You're going to have the O-ring start to fail and start to leak. So let's take a look at the side seal. One trick that maybe some people don't know is this is actually made to help remove that side seal. You can fit that in there. You can get it on the lip of that. Pry that side seal out. Also, again, on the Piranha tools, they come with a special blade that's a little bit curved on the bottom. It's also made to get in there, pry that out, or of course, the standard screwdriver that comes with it to get in there. If they don't come out, we're going to show you a trick in a minute to help get those out. But should be able to pry them loose, pull that out. Now, one thing I always recommend is when you're putting this gun together, you put a little dab of grease on both of those. Make sure that they squeeze in. Make sure that you can get them on. If you can't put this ring on with your bare hands, something's wrong. Take your gun apart and fix the problem. Don't use a wrench and twist that on there. Again, you'll tear it up. The other thing you can do is you can get this out of round so it's a little bit oblong or oval. And if that oval part happens to set where that is, then that side seal is probably going to leak. So let's take a look at the side seal itself. One of the big problems we see is getting this piece out, getting the actual side seal out of the cartridge. A lot of times they're stuck in here like this. You got buildup around it. It's hard to get them out. One, throw them in some NMP, soak them, let it soften up. But if you can't get that to work, if you look at the spring that's down inside of there, if you can see that, you can take your screwdriver or a pick, something like that, and you can work around that spring and you can work that out and pry that out of there. Very easy to get it out. Once you've got that, now you're ready to work on it, change your O-rings, do whatever. So the little section I was talking about, and this O-ring needs to sit in the right place inside of this side seal. You can see how it's got that taper and that lip as it comes out. If that side seal comes up too far and sits too far out of this, now it's in that little zone where there's a little bit of play in that. And the side seal O-ring, this O-ring is not under pressure, not sealing well, and that's where you're going to get product coming out around the side seal and leaking. And that then fills your gun with A side or B side. You'll get that little bit of mist coming out of the gun when you're not spraying. Can cause all kinds of problems. So again, most of the time, that all relates back to the threads on these. This one, you can tell, showing a little bit of wear, but not all the way down as compared to this one. And it's harder to tell because there's no black, but these threads are worn all the way down to where they're not going to hold that side seal. It sits right like that, and it's not going to hold it out far enough. It's going to be out of position. So trying to remove one of the actual entire cartridges out of the gun if it's stuck in there. A Couple different ways you can do that. If you can't pry it out and it's stuck in there, a couple things you can do. Take a larger socket, deep well socket, or even your nut driver and push it through from the back side. The biggest thing you want to look at is when you do that, careful not to damage the surface of the side seal itself. If you're going to put something on it, make sure that it seats and it hits here on the cartridge itself and not on the surface of the side seal. You can scar that, scratch it somewhat like that. Once you've scratched it, those are going to leak. They're not going to be any good anymore. So again, you can simply put something through there and drive through that. So like I was saying, you can use your nut driver, push it through from the inside and push that out. Once they should fit, that side seal should fit down inside of that, so you won't damage that side seal because it fits inside of it, and you can drive that piece out. Also, like I said, a deep well socket, something like that, but again, make sure it hits on the sides of the housing and not on the surface of that side seal.